While the world watches the Strait of Hormuz, while Washington runs escort operations and a naval pressure campaign meant to choke Iran's room to maneuver, something is moving on a different body of water entirely. A route that no American carrier group patrols. A corridor that no Western Navy can legally intercept. A sea where no sanctions task force can easily monitor what is being loaded, shipped, or delivered. According to the New York Times, citing anonymous U.S. intelligence officials, Russia appears to be using the Caspian Sea as a military logistics corridor to help Iran rebuild the arsenal the war depleted. And the United States, for all its naval power, has very limited options to disrupt it at sea. The Caspian Sea is an enclosed body of water bordered by Russia, Iran, Kazakhstan, Turkmenistan, and Azerbaijan. It has no connection to the open ocean. In practical terms, no outside navy can operate there without the consent of the states that border it. That makes it, in practical terms, a corridor beyond Western reach. According to the Times report, U.S. officials believe Russia is shipping drone components and military-related cargo to Iran across Caspian maritime routes. Those officials estimate Iran lost roughly 60% of its drone arsenal during the recent campaign, a figure that has not been publicly documented in full. If shipments continue at the current pace, they believe Tehran could rapidly replenish its unmanned strike capabilities. Moscow and Tehran share long Caspian coastlines. The logistics are short, oversight appears limited, and the barriers to outside interception are unusually high. The significance of the Caspian route is not just logistical, it is strategic. Washington's pressure campaign was built to squeeze Iran's ability to trade, import, and resupply. The assumption is that pressure on Hormuz translates into pressure on Tehran's military capacity. But if critical components are arriving from the north across an inland sea the US Navy cannot easily police, then the pressure campaign has a structural blind spot that destroyers in the Gulf cannot solve on their own. The New York Times report does not specify exactly what types of components are being shipped or in what volume. But the implication was clear enough for US officials to raise it with the paper, even if anonymously. They see the Caspian as a problem they do not currently have a solution for. The Caspian shipments sit inside a broader Russian posture that is becoming more visible by the day. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov, speaking on Russian state television, said the United States is clearly in a hurry to secure peace in Ukraine, but warned the conflict is far too complex for quick fixes. Reuters confirmed Peskov's warning that the path to any Ukraine settlement is long and complex. Russian state media then framed Iran in similarly slow-burn terms, with Peskov quoted as saying the same is true of the path with Iran, though that specific linkage should be attributed to Russian state outlets rather than Reuters. That framing suggests Moscow wants Washington to see both conflicts as long games. The Caspian route is part of that patience. It is not a dramatic escalation. It is a quiet infrastructure play designed to keep Iran supplied while the diplomatic clock runs at a pace Moscow controls, not Washington. And then came the move that made the diplomatic picture even harder to read. Slovak Prime Minister Robert Fico landed in Moscow to attend Russia's Victory Day celebrations on May 9th, becoming the only sitting leader of a NATO member state to travel to Moscow for the Victory Day festivities, even as Reuters reported he did not attend the parade itself.
Mr. Prime Minister, allow me once again to extend a very warm and sincere welcome to you here in the city of Moscow. We are truly honored to be here with you today. Last year, on this festive day, we gathered together in the city of Moscow on the occasion of the anniversary events marking the 80th anniversary of the Great Victory, and we are deeply grateful to you for your decision to be with us once again today. I am fully aware that just like last time, there were a number of specific difficulties and complications with your trip to Moscow. Just now, you briefly shared with me that this time it was, in fact, a little bit easier. But that's not important. What matters is that you are here, and we are very grateful to you for that. Your unwavering stance on preserving historical truth commands respect. About the events of the Second World War, about the role of the Red Army in liberating Europe from Nazism. It is also important for me to note that the brave Slovak fighters against the German fascist troops contributed significantly to the great victory. Today we honor and remember the historic events of the Slovak national uprising which began on August 29, 1944. We are grateful to the leadership and people of Slovakia for their careful attitude toward the monuments and burial sites of Soviet soldiers who fell in battles with the fascists on Slovak soil. In the near future, I know, the ceremonial opening of the Central Military Memorial Cemetery of the Red Army in the city of Michalovce. Thank you very much for paying such close attention to this matter. For many years, including during your previous terms as Prime Minister, Russian-Slovak relations have been characterized by a high level of political dialogue and a steady dynamic of cooperation. Of course, we understand that now they are complicated by the events related to what is happening in Ukraine, as well as by the foreign policy climate and the confrontational stance as we see it, which are being imposed on all of us by the EU and NATO. But at the same time, your government is striving to pursue a sovereign foreign policy and to build pragmatic approaches toward Russia. We welcome the gradual restoration of bilateral cooperation, which was effectively frozen due to the efforts of the previous Slovak authorities. Unfortunately, our trade turnover has decreased both last year and this year. We are also aware of the reasons for this decline. We proceed from the fundamental premise that your visit here today will help us better understand what can be done to revitalize and restore our trade turnover and to further develop it. We are aware of your interest in working in specific areas, including the energy sector. We have just had the opportunity to speak with you face to face, and I can say it here as well. We will do everything within our power to ensure we meet and satisfy the energy needs of the Slovak Republic, just as we are fully ready to cooperate in various other areas of mutual interest. Thank you very much indeed for your time.
Honorable Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, on behalf of the entire Slovak delegation, I would like to thank you for your welcome and hospitality. For the traditional Russian hospitality, allow me on behalf of the authorities of the Slovak Republic and the entire present Slovak delegation, I wish to express our deepest gratitude for this most important national holiday, the Day of Victory. And for me personally, it is a profound honor to be here in the Russian Federation on the special occasion of this very important day. Dear Mr. President, our shared history serves as a profound bond that closely ties our nations together. I note the crucial significance of objective historical facts, and I want to emphasize the idea of a sovereign and independent Slavic policy, one that is firmly rooted in our heritage and is oriented toward everyone who is genuinely interested in establishing normal, standard, and mutually beneficial friendly relations with Slovakia. To the people of Slovakia, I want to say that I understand very well that it was not only the direct military assistance provided during the Slovak national uprising in 1944, but above all it was the selfless 10,000 sacrifices made by the soldiers of the Black Army. They are now buried in many different locations across Slovakia, serving as a lasting testament to our shared history and the heavy price of freedom. Because of this, I would like once again to express my gratitude. The authorities of the Slovak Republic will do our utmost to care for these memorial sites with all our efforts and with all due respect. And today's and yesterday's meetings here in Moscow are, above all else, a clear demonstration of our sincere efforts and respect for the immense sacrifices made during the Second World War. Furthermore, we must pay tribute to the fact that it was the peoples of the former Soviet Union who made the greatest contribution of all. This was the factor which ultimately led to the victory in the Second World War over the threat of fascism. I am glad, Mr. President, that you mentioned the city of Mikhailovka. It's not just about the city of Mikhailovka. In Slovakia, we have dozens of military cemeteries where not only soldiers of the Red Army are buried, but also soldiers of the Romanian army who participated in the liberation. Therefore, It is with great pleasure that I inform you, Mr. President, that we have fulfilled the commitment we made regarding the reconstruction of the military cemetery in Michalovce, and I will personally take part in the opening of the newly reconstructed cemetery in Michalovce very soon. However, this applies to all places in Slovakia where the victims of the Second World War are buried. I truly believe that if you visit Slovakia from your country and visit these places, you will certainly not encounter any signs of neglect or indifference. Therefore, once again, I would like to express my sincere gratitude on the occasion of this significant state holiday, and I would like to use some of our remaining time during our further bilateral talks, dear President, to thoroughly discuss and address the key and fundamental issues in Russian-Slovak relations. I would never say one thing in private and then something completely different in public. Even now when the media are still present, I want to state very clearly that I am against the creation. There is now a formidable new Iron Curtain between the nations of Europe, the European Union, and the Russian Federation. I am in favor of normal, standard, friendly, and mutually beneficial relations. I am confident that thus, Slovenia and the Russian Federation can, within a relatively short period of time, undertake a series of constructive steps that will lead to such normalcy. And I must express my sincere regret, dear President, regarding the recent decline in our mutual trade. On the other hand, we find ourselves in a situation where we continue to receive vital and essential energy resources from you. Right now, I am speaking primarily about the gas that comes to Slovenia through Turkstream. I am now talking about the oil that comes through the pipeline. While our friendship is deeply important, it would probably not be enough if our cooperation were restricted solely to this particular domain. Therefore, I would like to take this opportunity to formally update you, esteemed President, about the current status of our progress regarding the International Commission for Economic Cooperation and the specific steps we have taken. We have taken concrete steps to modernize military enterprises. In both countries, we are implementing practical steps, as are our states. In Moscow, as well as practical steps and issues that the Russian Federation faces in Bratislava. That is why I greatly appreciate that in such a broad format, we are able to exchange very important information. Once again, thank you for your support, and once again, thank you for Victory Day.